So, no, I wouldn't say I have a passion for HR.
Welcome back to Human Resources for the People. It's a human capital revolution.
Today we're going to be answering Ask HR questions because on band part 13 we got a payroll question out of New York, a misclassification question out of Alabama, and a really interesting lie detector question out of Michigan. So let's get right into it. In New York, the question is, I noticed my recent paycheck was off by 11 minutes, so I decided to check my past pay periods. And, they had a few others with the past pay periods. Some of them were pretty significant, including 8 hours in 2022. The job has gotten very toxic, but they need to figure out what to do with regards to these missed hours and minutes that my manager didn't pay me for. So, a couple things. One, you want to make sure that you understand the payroll policy before you do anything, right? You want to understand what the rules are. You can get that from either consulting your handbook or consulting your HR policy. When you have 11 minutes, that makes me think that it's a situation with respect to rounding. And rounding in the United States is legal with respect to pay. And what it is effectively, for example, if you clock in 7 minutes early, it will snap to the hour mark, for example. If you clock in 7 minutes late, it should also snap to the hour mark. The point of payroll rounding is that it should be non-discriminatory in terms of how it affects employees. So that's a very key piece to rounding, is that it can't affect employees. But otherwise, it's completely legal. And so you should check with that. And then after you've made sure that you've understood the payroll policy and that your company is acting pursuant to it, then you approach the Human Resources Office from a very sort of, hey, I don't understand, maybe there was a mistake, something like that. If they decide to push you off again, then yeah, I would go to the State Department of Labor in New York and tell them wage theft is really serious. I wish I could edit a quote from Dwight with identity theft is very serious. Wage theft is really serious, and it really needs to be handled appropriately. But oftentimes employees don't understand the rounding, and that is the source of a lot of their frustration. I hope that. Next one is out of Alabama, and it says, doing work of a supervisor without the title or the pay. My supervisor moved to another shift this month, and I was told to step into the role and also to apply for the job. And it says my previous supervisor recommended me for the role to all hiring managers and assured me and them that I was ready to apply. So I did and went through the lengthy process, and I'll say it's not much of a lengthy process. If the supervisor moved to another shift last month, even if they, did it a month before, that's 2 months. That's not a lengthy interview process, really. Most of my roles these days take 4 months to fill completely. But anyway, I found out the other day that they chose not to go with me. I was told directly to my face by the hiring manager on our team that the reason they didn't hire me because I don't have enough experience. It says, why did you hire me if you know me and know I don't have enough experience? Whatever, fair enough, no worries, move on. But now they're filling in a role while they hire someone else for the position. Is this kind of crap legal? Well, to answer the actual question, yes. Yeah, it's absolutely legal. If you don't want to work in that position, you can move on, right? But let me back up. For example, one statement here says that why did you interview me? If you knew that. Many companies, probably yours included, have a rule that they need all internal candidates, or at least all qualified internal candidates. And so they may have had to interview you. They may have not had a choice. And there's a good reason for that policy. There's a good reason to put that into place, and that's to create a pipeline. In addition, because you're working in that role occasionally, development skills does not mean you have the long-term disciplinary skills, and doesn't mean that you can do anything besides sort of step in for a time frame. That's not really an indicator. Stepping in is not really an indicator that you have the experience to do it. Supervisory is a whole lot of things that may come up that you don't see until later, and that's when they're looking for that experience. It's the difference maker for many supervisors, and that's why they may be considering. That's why they're considering someone else. The last one is a Jim out of Michigan, and it says, is it common to ask an employee to take a lie detector when they're accused of sexual harassment? And this one is thoroughly interesting. I do freelance work for a nonprofit in Michigan, and there was a 19-year-old daughter of another person who freelances with them as an accountant, which I think is odd, but who was sexually harassed by an employee while working on an intern. The 19-year-old wrote a letter to the CEO saying that she would have to leave the internship because she didn't feel comfortable. The CEO wrote back saying that they were taking the matter seriously, and that the board of directors has decided that the employee who is accused of the harassment must submit to a polygraph. 3 weeks later, the CEO wrote back and said that the employee had passed the polygraph and that the matter is now closed. The CEO apologized that the intern was made to feel uncomfortable, but no other action was taken. I really don't know anything about HR policies, and the org doesn't have any. But there's no way this is on the level, right? Does the intern have any recourse? So, to answer the title question, no, it's not common. I don't think anyone does this. It's wild. It's amazing. And polygraphs are not that effective. So, are we really doing that? And what happens if he failed the polygraph? Would we really have terminated him? If they actually did this, I guess it is what it is, but they open themselves up to all sorts of lawsuits because it's not an effective way. The person should have been suspended. It sounds like they weren't, and they should go and internship, but potentially go ahead and take them to court, or file an EEOC charge first and then go from there. It's not on the level, but the intern doesn't really have any recourse if they've already quit. So the only recourse that exists then is, through legal system. I would encourage them to take a look at it because no, this is not a normal process.
What do you think about today's video? Please comment down below, like, share, and subscribe. It really helps out. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.